Welcome back, Maths Legends. Today we don't have a filter on, but I will be keeping a close eye on you and how you're going to construct, describe and interpret side-by-side column graphs. Today, guys, I'm going to be looking at side-by-side column graphs, and one of the things I want to do here is point out a couple of the really important aspects of a side-by-side column graph if you're drawing one. The first thing that you need to know is that you have an x-axis and you have a y-axis. And on those x and y axes, you're going to have, like a column graph, you're going to have the category, which is going to be on the x-axis, well, that's blood group, and you're going to have the measurement on the y-axis, which is the volume of blood. Now, remember, when you're doing these, they need to be evenly spaced out, exactly the same spaces between each. So you can see they're the same spaces between each. And you can also see that our jump from each different spacing here is exactly 10 in this case. All right, it can change obviously, but it needs to be the same gap each time. So it has to go up in 10s or in 5s or in 2s or in 20s. You need to make that up. Other thing is you'd need to have a title, and you would also need to have the key as well. Also, gents, it's about drawing up your columns correctly as well and using the two different colours. So you can see here I've got a blue and I've got a red. You need to use the two different colours correctly. You can see that the red is always on one side and the blue is always on the other side. It doesn't switch over. Really important that you look at these when we do it. So let's have a quick look at my next page. Here it is again. So at the moment you can see that on our blood bank donations chart or graph, you can see that it's showing me two lots of information. It's showing me what happened last week and what happened this week. And being side by side, we can compare the two different measurements. So you can see that last week, our O blood group had 90 litres of blood donated, where this week it only had 80, by looking at these two columns. So let's have a quick look. Looking at these two columns. My question to you, gents, is if you see one that's between the two, you know straight away that you need to halve it. So approximately 65 versus 75. And on this one here, 10 and 20. Now, if this was to ask me the question as is down the bottom, last week 15 litres of AB blood was donated, and then another 5 litres was donated this week, I would have to get my red pen, and I would have to make sure that in the first column of my AB, I would do 15. Now, here's my 10, here's my 20, I need 15, that's in the middle. I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm going to make sure it's nice and straight, and I'm going to draw in my bar. Now, remember, if you don't use your ruler, gents, you're literally telling me you don't want any marks, because I will not be marking anything correct unless you use a ruler. Second one says, and another 5 litres was donated this week. So I'm going to go halfway again, and I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm going to colour it in. You see then that we have now added to this. All right, on to the last one. This is one that I want you to do, gents. It's a little bit of reading of the graph for this one. I want you to tell me which blood type has the least volume of blood available. And I also want you to tell me which week had the largest blood volume available. All right, so I'm going to get you to swap the video now and see how you go. Okay, we're going to look at the first one, where we can see here straight away that we have 90, we have 80, we have 65, and we have 75, and we have 10, and we have 20. So if you look at the first one, we have 170 litres. In the second one, we have 140, and the last one we have 30. So it said which has the least amount available. We know it's B. The second one says which week had the most. So if we go to and we do last week, so we'll call it LW, we have 90, 65, and 10. Now if I add those together, I would equate that to 5. Then I'm going to go 165. This week I have 80, 75, and 20. Let's add those together. That equals 175. So I know that it is this week had the largest amount of volume of blood donated. Gents, write down the things in your success criteria that you're going to need to remember. Some of the things I suggest you write down are the different aspects that you will need if you're drawing a side-by-side column graph. Maybe something about how important the key is, but also talk about the fact that when you're doing your key or you're color coding your bars, that they always stay on the same side, or the gaps are always even. Please make sure that you have this done for tomorrow's lesson. Thanks, gents.